Well, we have Carissa Gay, MCC, who will be the coach today. Carissa is a sought-after coach, trainer, and mentor coach, known for simplifying the path to coaching mastery. She is the founder and CEO of Courageous Leaders, a talent development firm dedicated to changing conversations and increasing organizational capacity. As a master certified coach, Carissa has invested over 5,000 hours coaching leaders across corporate, government, and academic spheres. She is also the director of coach development for the Center for Coaching Excellence and an instructor at the academies. She served as the president of ICF San Antonio and currently supports the chapter in building strategic partnerships across Texas. Please join me in warmly welcoming Carissa. I know we are all muted, but we can sort of do a quick wave just to let her feel welcome and to know that we love her and that we are delighted to have her volunteer to do this demo today. And we also have Shara with us. Shara, do a quick wave so everyone knows. There is Shara. Shara is the founder, Shara Hammond is the founder of Advanced Leadership and Performance, an organization dedicated to empowering individuals and organizations to realize their full potential through tailored coaching and strategic development programs and innovative solutions. With over 15 years of corporate experience in both the US and international roles, she has a deep commitment to fostering diverse, equitable, and inclusive workplace cultures. Known for her passion for connecting people with opportunities and resources, Shara is one of the hosts of the More Than Words podcast, where coaches, DEIB practitioners like myself, and those who enjoy learning from others share experiences, tools, and initiatives for personal and professional growth. Her passion extends to supporting small businesses and local community efforts, making her a sought-after person for collaborations, partnerships, and speaking engagements. Welcome, Shara. We can give her a quick wave, even though we're all we're all on mute. And now this leaves me with just one little bit of function left to do before we all get started. I'm just going to go through the ground rules real quickly and also the agenda so that everyone knows what we're expecting today. And then we will do a deep dive into the demo. So in terms of agenda, we're going to have a quick welcome and the ground rules, which I'm doing right now. And then I've already introduced Carissa and Shara. And then I'll go through the ground rules, and then we will do the debrief, which will be focused on the ICF competencies. That has already been posted in the chat, but it will be posted 2 more times during this period. After the coaching demo, we'll do a quick debrief. The coaching demo itself will take 30 minutes. And then after that, we'll do a 15-minute debrief, and then we'll take time for 5 minutes to get words of wisdom from our chapter president, Robin or Monique or Dolan, and they will be talking to us a little bit about the ethics workshop that is coming on in September. So if everyone is ready, I will quickly go through the ground rules. Ground rules, easy peasy. We just simply want to ensure that the coaching process is not interrupted. So once the coaching demo starts, we will ask that everyone please go off camera and also mute yourselves. We will try to do that centrally, but in case anyone comes in or anyone is off mute by any accident, please remember to mute yourself so that they can focus on the demonstration without interruption. And because we also do not want interruptions, we'll ask that the questions will come kindly at the end of the demo. And if you have burning questions during the demo, please feel free to just type them in the chat and we'll pick it up at the end during the debrief. The debrief will be focusing on the ICF competencies. So please take note as you listen and you watch of the competencies that you notice, which will probably form part of your comment. So without much further ado, and I am so pleased that I have managed to save some time so that the demo has enough time and we'll have more time for a debrief and a good chat at the end. Thank you all for coming out on this day. For the people in the Houston area, please stay safe out there. And I hope your power and your communication is on. if there's any interruption, don't worry. This is going to be recorded, and I'm sure that Dolan will make sure that that's available for others. So, Carissa, are you unmuted yet? So you can say a few words, as well as Sharon, before you actually get started on the demo.
Well, it's wonderful to spend this International Coaching Week with you and participating in coaching. Look forward to diving into what takes place in transformational coaching. And one thing that makes MCC coaching distinct is how it focuses on the whole person. That whatever topic a client happens to bring to the conversation, that's really just a microcosm of what's important to them and how they're showing up in the big picture. So as you listen to the conversation today, notice the things that really bring out that whole person aspect of the coaching. And there's 3 core ingredients going on. You have presence, partnership, and process. And if you're missing any one of those, then the coaching is going to go off the rails. You have to have presence to be fully connected to yourself as a coach, fully connected to the client. And that's what sparks your intuition in the moment of what to ask, where to explore in the conversation. And then the partnership piece is really letting the client be the one to steer the conversation. It's about what they're processing and how they're connecting the dots. And then the process, there's core ingredients of having that clear agenda and ensuring that they have insight that then is being translated into action. Those process ingredients ensure that the client walks away with what is meaningful and impactful for them. So those are a few high-level things that you can be on the lookout for as we dive into this conversation here. Shara, it's such a pleasure to be able to connect with you. I've been looking forward to our conversation.
Yes, me too. Can't wait to get started today.
What is on your mind that would be valuable to focus on today?
Yeah, so Carissa, I'm in between what I think is being stuck, or just in general how I feel about a natural transition. I mean, recently, I've been trying to figure out what's my next big step, and or just assess whether or not, I just need to focus on what's in front of me versus looking for a big step. So just a little background, 2 years ago, I joined an organization, and I was really excited about this role. It was all the things that I was looking for. A great leader that I was super inspired by, and kind of watched on LinkedIn and in other places, I think that'll be a good mentor. And then for my next step. And then I saw that she moved to an organization that was really progressive in the work that I have been doing, which is diversity, equity, and inclusion. And I was like, wow, okay, this might be my chance, right? So I looked up the company, and I was just super excited about what they were trying to do in this space. And she was looking for team members and stuff like that. So I get this job, right? And I'm like, okay, I got the mentor, I'm on a team, I'm not the only person doing this work. And, I get into doing amazing things for 2.5 years, right? All the things that I was wanting to do, like new global challenges and just things in spaces that I haven't been in before, because I was just so siloed into a few spaces in my other roles. And so I was just, in my best place. And then this year, the first quarter of the year, there was just a decision to dissolve that team and decentralize it so that it was more embedded in the business and didn't have kind of this headquarters per engagement. And so it was just it happened so fast, so abrupt. But out of that, half the team got let go. And then the 3 of us remaining, We are here kind of trying to figure out like, okay, what are we doing? What's our next step? Like, how do we keep where, stay focused and do where we are, but also just like, wow, what a whirlwind. What's next? So I know that's a lot, but that's where I am. And I've been having a hard time processing it all.
To go from being in my best place to this loss, even letting go, what a whirlwind.
Yeah. Yeah. I still feel it, even when I try to explain it to people, like, hey, this is where I am. Like, I literally, if you ask me Christmas, December, I was like on cloud nine, right? So now it's just that big adjustment in such a short amount of time.
When you say adjustment, where are you at in that process of adjusting to all these pieces?
Yeah, I feel like I'm in like 3 different segments, right? So it's like in front of me, it's like, okay, I'm glad that I'm still here to kind of keep the things that we did have going, but it's very different, right? The role isn't as robust in that way. So it's kind of like keeping the wheels on the bus, which is not exciting for me, right? But it's what's in front of me, right? The second part is, this is a time that I've always had my business, and I've been committed to that work, like, coaching and training and things like that, and doing community, engagement. And so it's that question mark whether or not like this is the time to go all in, because, I've been always had that safety net of like a corporate role plus that, plus my business. And then the third part is like, am I just holding myself back, right? From just those 2 boxes? And, what could be in that third box to be like, I want to explore something maybe I haven't even thought about.
Many possibilities on the horizon, just keeping the train on the tracks that it's on, although there's not a lot of excitement there. Do I go all in on my business, or what's behind option number 3?
Yeah. Door number 3 is a little bit more scary, but exciting, right? It's like, oh yeah, let's create something, right? But yeah, all of those give me different things, right? Which is to me, I think it just all serves me differently. So just feeling stuck and not knowing and wanting to make sure I make the most of, being in this particular situation before I just jump into something without a lot of thought.
When it comes to these different pathways, what are you wrestling with in terms of this going all in piece?
Yeah. That's a question I ask myself all the time, right? I think I'm wrestling with the fact that security matters to me, right? I have a lot of roles that requires me to be something that's a little bit more, steady, right? Family obligations, community commitments, things that I've even committed to myself, my own values, right? And so that's where that consistency is. When I think about, going all in, I'm like, okay, so, I don't have, it takes a lot of work to make sure that you have continuous work in this space, and it doesn't have large gaps that, can create consistency. And of course, I'm based in the US, so there's just a lot of things around like the D&I conversation that just kind of is, it can be, making more of adjustment in the space. And then the third one is like, I don't know. I always like to leave that box open, like, hey, what is something I haven't considered that I need to consider? Because, maybe there's a blind spot that others see that I don't.
There's multiple values at play for you here. The desire for steadiness and security, wanting to step into these bigger opportunities, the question of what else might even be out there.
Yeah. Yes, those are all the things, and staying true to my values, right, and what's important to me, and making sure that those things stay intact while I make these decisions, which I haven't felt I think that brings up a piece about, why the current state is just probably bothering me so much is because, it's hard to be in a space where you question whether or not the work you're doing is valued. But then at the same time, you're still in the space. So it's like, how could it not be? So it's one of those odd moments of like, I have to make that decision, right? Versus it being made for me. But I'm still on that journey of what do I do until I can get to that confident place.
Quite a tension there between how others perceive the value of your work and also how you perceive the value of your work and stepping into these bigger opportunities.
Yeah. I do think that it does matter. I mean, I think that at least in the space when I'm in a corporate space, it does matter because that is where you are always trying to keep that balance of what the organization needs and how far you push them. But to the point about my own work, I feel less concerned about what others are think about it, but more so the availability of creating that security that I need to be like, I'm all in and this is going to be my means for my livelihood.
So as you're in this stuck place of looking at all these different pathways, what would you like to gain for yourself from our conversation here today?
I would really like to just gain some mirroring, right? Like, I don't like gaining some mirroring is like a great statement, but I think I've spun this around in my head a lot. I've put it on paper. I've, gone to my board of directors or people that I value their opinion. But I think for me, it's just having this space to have someone mirror what the thoughts are, but also just give myself a chance to reimagine or recreate something that maybe I haven't had a chance to think about.
When you say reimagine, what does that mean for you?
I think it's so funny. So every time I make a big change, right, I usually vision it, right? Like I'm one of those people. I wasn't always a fan of vision boards. Like, I gave it a hard time for many years, but I've switched to being able to actually put in things like a vision. Like, this is what I want. This is what my career, all the things, things that are really important to me. And when I did that for this year, a lot of the things that I thought kind of in my corporate space is kind of needs to be reimagined, or just in general, I feel like I need to start over a little bit to say, okay, listen, these are not the things that are filling me up. And I need to kind of really focus on making sure my cup is full in a different way. If I'm going to either stay in this particular role, or if I'm going to go out in the world and do it all, do it in a different way, or just figure out what else this could possibly be. And now that I say it out loud, I think one of the things that has been really just impactful for me to kind of sit with was, do I want to actually create something new, or if I just want to go all in on myself? And I think when I think about all in on myself, there's still some fears there about, how can I create the security I need to want to go all in on myself versus having that stable piece that I'm used to.
What do you think needs to be resolved for yourself to have the peace to go all in?
That's a good question. I think for me, if there was instances where I could see, 3 months ahead, right? Like if I had felt stability for 3 months, right? Like 3 to 4 months, right? I would feel more comfortable that that's enough cushion for me to go ahead and lay out another 3 to 4 months of like work, right? Because it's really for me about keeping the security and being able to fulfill my responsibilities that I have and not disrupting that so that I, to the point that I can't, uphold my values that I have for my family and the things that matter to me. And so I feel like if I was able to secure to be able to, in my own business, find something that was longer term and wasn't just these ad hoc projects that kind of just keep bolting on as you go versus like knowing for sure that there's a couple of things that stays on the horizon, I would feel more comfortable to jump out and just be all in on myself, because then I know that I can do what I feel that makes me passionate, but also doesn't hinder other people by not providing the security that they need.
Mm. So today you're wanting to put out this vision for yourself so you can see what does this all in really look like for yourself.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, that would be helpful for sure.
Where would you like to begin in crafting this vision?
I don't know. I think that's where I've been a little stuck, right? I think there's 3 things that I've been significantly focused on. I think one has been, leveraging the relationships that I have already, right? Clients and people that I meet in this particular space, in all the spaces that I get a chance to be in. So that's been one method. The other piece has been to network in new spaces, right? And get curious about things that maybe has some synergies with what I do, but not necessarily is the traditional or way in which it would happen. Maybe like, just going to engaging with other people who are doing this work in industries that are significantly different, or who don't even really do this type of work, but has a lens of coaching or coach approach in it, like just being curious. And then the third piece has been just really, trying to figure out my business model, right? Like what is a solid business plan and model that I could start to look towards that is, that allows me to think about, how can I make that consistency that I'm looking for realize. And that has taken a lot of time to like redo my business plan and my model.
Mm-hmm. So you have all these different pathways looking external of how you might build this business, relationships, business model, what's going on in the industry. When you say the words all into yourself, what does that mean for you internally?
No, don't ask that question. Oh yeah, I know we have to go there. I all in for me requires a level of, honestly, it really starts to make not the dream. Like I love the dream, I love the vision, I love the business. I can bet on me, right? I can bet on me. The piece that holds me back, or at least I feel like is the internal work, is navigating the uncertainty and where I would think I will let the people who depend on me down, right? Like meaning that I know that I can do these things, that I will work hard, I would network, I'm going to deliver good products, those types of things. But the parts that I can't control, right, is the part that kind of lays heavy in my mind. And I'm thinking about, the impact of that, right, for the people who rely on me. And that to me sometimes makes it feel way more of a heavier internal effort or super risky at times. Even though those individuals will say, go for it. No, it's going to be okay. But I'm like, yeah, I know you say that, but, I'm also, logical and to understand that there's a level of security that is needed for my responsibility. So I get fearful about letting people down, not in the essence of because I won't work hard for it. It's just that maybe it just doesn't work out at all. And then I can't do the things that I'm responsible for. The second part would be just in general, making sure that I believe that I can do it. It when it's not going as planned, because the responsibility is already heavy enough, but then I can't have that plus, I'm well into the work or I'm well into this journey and I'm like, this wasn't a great idea at this time, right? Like maybe not right now, but this wasn't the time to do it. And I think those are the things internally that just kind of spins at me, when I'm most concerned about this next step.
Other people are betting on you more than you're betting on you.
Yeah, of course, because they've seen me do things before and do it well. But even in those efforts, I think that, or the successes that people get to see, there's always a plan that I have. Like I've always created a level of consistency plus exploration, right? Like it's a little bit of a method to the madness, right? It's like this one thing has to be stable so that I can go and do all these other things that make no sense to anybody else. But it works because it's living up to what I want to do and my values and my beliefs of my purpose for what I'm able to do in the world. So right now that corporate part has been that, and I'm trying to figure out what could be another stable factor if I need that. Like, I feel like I do need something that feels consistent to move forward.
What could be that bedrock for you?
Yeah, I don't know. I mean, so this is where I wish we could crowdsource, right? This is a good time for crowdsourcing. I don't know. I thought about just in general, what would be a part-time thing that is like just one of those things that I would do. That really is one of those things that's just like, okay, this is going to keep this part stable while I go have a blast doing these other things that I want to do. And be able to leverage some more risk. And I did think about that. And the only issue with that is really because I haven't yielded any results at the moment. So I think it's still an option, but it's not solid in that way. I even thought of more drastic things like, you know what, let's condense it all down, right? House it all and just do something more drastic and just, go into a shared space and just get all costs minimized so that I'm like, okay, that particular piece of work would just be, and all my commitments can fit in this little box. And then I would have complete autonomy and space to go do these other things and have longer runways to just see how long I could manage in a space without something more like corporate-y, stable. And then, of course, I just thought in general, like, let's just do a bunch of different things. Like, let's do an a la carte. Like, okay, we're going to do a little bit of this, a little bit of that to make one whole stable place. So that feeds all the things that I love to do. And so I'm going back and forth with all of those pieces. just to kind of play around with it. But the one thing is for sure is that the current state right now isn't allowing me to have the same type of excitement and passion towards it. So something has to change.
Your energy just overflows as you talk about the possibilities and the internal resources you have, your consistency, your quality, your ability to adapt under challenges.
Mm-hmm.
What does all of that say to you about your readiness for the next chapter?
I'm ready. I'm ready. I feel ready. I just haven't focused that energy. It has nowhere to go at the moment. I feel confident about. So I do feel ready. I'm super excited, I just don't have a place to channel it. And I think that's really what's causing some of the stuckness, or at least just kind of on the fence. I do get, this conversation does make me feel super optimistic because now this is probably the first time that I put them in like 3 options. Because I'll be honest with you, it was probably like 100 option last night just thinking about this conversation. But this is the first time that I got really clear about the 3. So I'm really happy about that.
Mm-hmm. So what is standing out to you at this point in the road now that you see these 3 options?
I'm trying to think. I mean, not one really stands out. They all kind of give me the balance of the things that I'm looking for. I actually think that for the first time, I feel like I need to spend some time on what will be those more solid spaces that I would spend time for stability, right? Like, I think I'm already working on the business plan. I'm networking. People know me. I mean, of course, I could just get on a contract with somebody, right now, right? It's just like, okay, let me write this contract until I get more up my work, right? But for the first time, I'm realizing that, I haven't spent time not, on thinking about part-time or a la carte kind of gig work that is the stable part of my strategy versus the actual my own personal business work. And I didn't really notice it because, I think I was just quite honestly just applying for corporate roles and other corporate roles. And I'm like, man, I know for a fact that I've not looked at, these other options of like, hey, how about we go look at some other things that might provide the stability I need while I get my increase the actual business piece, because I do feel like I want to go all in on my business, and that is clear. But that transition, well, it's clear now. Let me just say that it's clear now. But that transition, I think I haven't spent enough time on creating that stability piece.
You've made a decision here. I'm going all in.
Yeah.
So I just get to find the pathways to making that stable.
Yeah. Don't say it out loud. No, just kidding. No, it's real. Yeah. Yeah. I mean, I'm super happy about it. Like, it's a long time coming, quite honestly. It's a long time coming, but this is a moment where I think, yeah, I just need to go all in and figure it out. And now also what's good for me oftentimes is telling other people this is my plan. And when I tell people this is my plan, then, people just show up for me, and they give me good guidance, or, they get 1 or 2 people who will be like, okay, so why are you thinking about that? You should be considering this. So I feel like this is the commitment I need it for myself, but also now I can get my network who supports me to give me the nudges that I need to keep me on, not falling back into fear and going forward.
So based on this new perspective of all in, how do you want to integrate that, use it going forward?
How do I want to integrate that? Honestly, I think it's just good becomes, first and foremost, I need to go do my vision board over, right? I need to do an all-in vision board. I need to also go sit down and decide what all-in means. Like, what do I need to manage my wellness as I go through this journey to make sure that I'm staying clear with my values, that I'm also stretching myself to get in places, to get into things that is going to allow me to think beyond where I am, right? Like, I need to be a different type of curious, right? And curious internally and externally. So I think I'm up like my journal writing and I got a creativity book. It's like all my crazy ideas, right? Like all the ideas that I go back to when I'm thinking about something absolutely seemingly impossible. And I think I'm just going to go back to the basics for those things and just really make sure my foundation for me is solid, that I'm giving myself space to be curious. And also telling my network. I think the integration there, that's huge for me. Like just being clear. I think another thing is, and I'm not sure about this part, which is putting some time-bound pieces to it. Sometimes I'm good at being like, okay, this needs to be done in 90 days, 30 days, and I'm on it, right? I need to figure out in this particular journey, what's a realistic view on taking this all in next step and not putting too much pressure on myself.
Already your roadmap is becoming clearer with this path you're creating for yourself.
Yeah, it's starting to really roll off there.
And you mentioned earlier wanting to find this security that you can depend on. Hearing you, that security is in you.
Yeah. Yeah, I started to hear it like literally when that roadmap started coming out, like, oh man, it's in me. Like, it's so cliche, right? Like everybody say that, but then it's like, yeah, you're right. It is in me. Yeah, it is. And I think also the other piece about it is one of the craziest things that I think now is why I need a objective person to be a part of it, is that this is the feedback that others have been giving me, like the people around me. But once again, they so close to it, right? And they're used to seeing me only in, getting it done, that I just didn't, I took it for granted that they actually did see the path ahead, at least something in me that I needed to just confirm with myself. So this is really helpful in that way.
Mm.
I'm not going to tell them they were right, just so you know, keeping it between us. I'm not giving them any credit.
What did you learn about yourself today in our conversation?
I have learned the very thing that I tell other people is that sometimes you just need to have a conversation with someone completely outside of the space that you normally is in. Meaning, I needed to talk to someone who didn't know me other than a name on the screen, so that I could get out of the noise of why I would think someone else would be encouraging me or encourage me to do something, right? Like, or supportive of me in that way, so that I could just see it for myself, right? I just needed a mirror, right, for myself to say, is these my thoughts? Is these my thoughts? So that's been really, really important in this moment. And then also just validating the self-talk that I hear that's not the loudest. It's not the loudest. It's the one in the backpack. And that has been telling me that this was time. But not as clearly as other things. That was more so my fears.
You've found your voice, found your path, excited about what's ahead.
Yes.
And all of that. And thank you for your courage, your transparency in letting us be a part of this journey today.
Sure. Thank you so much, Carissa. This was great. Thank you.
So welcome.
Excellent. Amazing. Thank you both so very much. Thank you, Shara, for being such a willing and open coachee and for letting us share your wonderful experience. And Carissa, thank you so much for such a skillful session. It was very insightful, the expertise shown through. And we were actually, Dolan and I behind the scene were saying, because we saved 5 minutes earlier on, we could have let you go on for 5 more minutes. But it was amazing how skillfully you were able to bring it to a point of conclusion, even within the very short 30-minute time. So excellent work. And I'd like to jump in at this time to the debrief. And because we are saving time, I'm told I'm allowed to do the debrief for 20 minutes instead of 15. And I hope that's okay with everyone, which means we will stop the debrief at exactly 12:32. The way I'd like to structure this, if this is fine with everyone, is to first ask the coachee, how did that make you feel? Get the feedback from the coachee, and then get some feedback from the coach before we open it up to everyone in the audience. And the audience will be kindly reminded of the competencies as we do the debrief, the foundation in terms of demonstrating ethical practice, embodies coaching mindset, establishes and maintains agreements, cultivates trust and safety, maintains presence. And I like the fact that at the beginning of this process, Carissa helped to point out that there are 3 main pillars that we should be looking for as we watch that wonderful demonstration. We wanted to be looking out for presence, partnership, and progress, which was very evident in that. And the effective communication part of our coaching competencies, as well as cultivating learning and growth. So I just wanted to go through that very briefly before jumping in to ask Carissa, how did that make you feel?
There were so many layers going on in what Shara was processing. And, as a coach, you can go, oh, wow, there's so many pathways of where we could go in this conversation, and really reminding myself to just slow down and unpack with her, particularly in that agenda setting process, so that she could identify what are these different buckets and not rush to what are we going to accomplish today. And that really enabled the conversation to come to a point of where was the biggest wrestle for her of, am I really ready to bet on myself and go all in? Often clients come with one agenda, but underneath that, there's really a core agenda of what is this really about for them? And it was neat to see that emerge in the conversation. And the conversation really ebbed and flowed between the who and the what side. There was the what of the very practical of how am I going to build my business? What's my plan? But there also was the who side of, am I really believing in myself in this? And for me, just being able to ask questions that were really broad allowed Shara to then process for herself what is significant here and not get caught up in the specific tactical weeds of how am I going to go about networking. She's resourceful. She's got tons of ideas on that, but to let her really design the roadmap for herself.
Excellent. And at this point, I'd like to announce to everyone a little administrative bit that it's okay to put your videos back on. You can still, you can actually begin to put your questions or raise hands towards the end. Once I'm done with the coach and coachee, which should be in another couple of minutes. So, Shara, how was that for you?
It was great. I felt like the space that I was given to create the agenda was really, really important because I was still processing. I love the broad questions instead of going into the tactical because I just needed to kind of see that big picture. I'm a big picture person. I need to see like where is this kind of, what's the options, right? So it really helped me to really clarify that there were options clearly that I had, and that I had really thought it through way better. I think way better than I gave myself credit for. I think Carissa, the pause and the silence, right, really mattered to me because it gave me the chance to digest what we were talking, like where we had gone, and also in the moment where I was like, what was coming up for me. I think it was important to reflect when I was happy because even until she said something about it, I hadn't even noticed that I was smiling and I could see myself on camera because I was so deep in my head about this. And I think the best part was the integration. The word integration was super powerful and transformative for me because that's a word that is really the essence of how I live my life. It's the integration of all the things that between responsibility and my passions and my excitement. So that word choice really solidified the commitment. I'm super happy that we didn't go down any of the other paths of questioning and getting into tactical because I think it would have froze me up and back to the unlimited wheel that I get myself on. So I felt great. And I felt the pace of it was appropriate.
Excellent. Excellent. And at this time, we will open up the floor for some questions, comments, insights. And while people are free to please raise your hand or put your question in the chat, I'll just make note of what I noticed while I wait for questions to come up or comments, and obviously accolades for such an amazing session. I particularly like the presence of our coach, our MCC today, Carissa. I noticed the movement and I noticed the way she acknowledged the emotions that the coachee was going through. I love that's in terms of presence, and in terms of progress, I noticed that she allowed the coachee to arrive at her list of solutions sort of by herself without sort of like, even though it was a 30-minute session, which is a bit time cramped, but she still gave Shara the opportunity to explore the different options in her head before coming to, yes, I'm ready to bet on me. I'm navigating uncertainty so as not to let people down that depend on me, but I'm ready to bet on me. I'm going I like the all in. I heard that quite a few times. And now I'm going to pause for a minute and look in the chat and see whether we have any questions there or... Okay, let me see. Emma Ladley, I see your hand is raised. Please, you can unmute and make your comment or suggestion or question.
I just really wanted to say thank you. I'm a trainee coach doing an accredited ICF course and at the beginning of my journey, and I was really hoping to watch from more experienced coaches in this and learn. And thank you, Shara, for your openness and enthusiasm and energy that you brought. And Carissa, thank you. I feel that I've got a long way to go, but I really feel that, one, this is the right career path for me, and two, I've learned a lot. So thank you.
Thank you for sharing.
Thank you so much, Emma, for that. And anyone else want to make a comment? Feel free to just unmute and make your comment or ask a question or put your hand up. I'm keeping an eye on the chat as well. I see Sarah Moore. Sarah, your hand is up. Please go ahead.
Hello. I'm really. It's been a real pleasure to enjoy this session. I'm still a new coach, just 1 year. Like the previous participant said, it's exciting to learn and to see how we can grow and develop our skills to reach that deep level. It was new for me, the idea to give the client first. She gave her like 10 minutes, just exploring, just mirroring without any question, without even running to the goal question. And then how she, I can say, let a light shine on both what's wrestling and what she would like to gain. And then to just let her explore more and more and seeing the client looking up to the right, reflecting and getting her reflection, and just finally guiding her a bit little to let her integrate all what she got in this. And I really, really admire the question of what did you learn about yourself today? For me, that was a brilliant question, highlighting for the clients what she really got out of this session. So I'm really thankful. Thank you.
A comment on that. Thank you, Sarah, for pointing out the emphasis on observations at times more than questions. And that's something early on in coach training, we focus so much on how do I craft powerful questions, yet observations, particularly when they're focused on the who of the client, can be very impactful. It is like holding up the mirror. And the beautiful thing about making a succinct observation is it allows the client to take it in any way they want. In fact, they may not agree. We're not attached to our observations. We're just sharing what we're noticing in that moment. And so it allows the client actually to find what is right for them in that moment and keep making their way forward. So experimenting with back and forth observations and questions can really advance the conversation more deeply, more quickly. Other questions, curiosities, things that surprised you?
Joseph Rivers.
Hello. Yeah, Carissa, I just got a question. So you stayed really nicely at the start into like expansive questions, and you didn't almost, yeah, you didn't, you took your time getting into the details. And personally, I find that quite hard at the start, especially when there's a lot kind of coming at you, but you really like took your time with that, and then you just only went into it. And I was just wondering, how do you kind of just hold yourself back a bit? How do you stay patient before almost getting into the details, which maybe the client might want to get into themselves? How do you stay patient in that start?
Mm-hmm. I like to think of that opening part of the conversation as gathering the themes, or if you think most clients come with a tangled ball of all these different threads, they may bring 3 different situations that are all colliding in their life simultaneously. And rather than, jumping in on the first juicy one, think of it as let's pull out what's the key idea behind each of these things, letting the client do that. So by listening, observing, it helps the client go, okay, this is really about betting on myself, or this is really about what's my relationship to uncertainty, or this is about, do I really believe I have what it takes here? So by slowing down the conversation a little bit, asking those curious questions, often it's a sequence of anywhere from, 2 to maybe even 5, questions where you're back and forth, peeling back the layers of what is this really about? And then it can be helpful to bottom line to the client. So today, where you're really focused is, can I bet on myself? And by kind of bottom lining what the general focus is, that really tees you up to ask the accomplished question in a way that's going to be far more impactful, and you're not just getting something that's on the surface.
Fabulous. Thank you
Great
so much.
question.
Thank you so much, Carissa. And as we round off the debrief section of this demonstration, I'd like to give an opportunity to both the coach and the coachee to round us off again. So I'll ask the coachee this time, as a result of this coaching experience, what would you start, stop, or continue? And what stood out the most for you?
Y'all are putting the pressure on me today. So what would I start doing? I realized in this moment that, we all have all coaches should have coaches, right? I think having someone outside of my network, I think even my current coach is probably too close to my network. So I will be saying hi to Carissa a couple of times, if I can, or just in general, find someone outside of my circle, just for some of these times where it's just too close and too integrated. Continue to do. I think continuing to leverage the question Carissa gave me, which was the internal question, like what is the internal, what would I need internally? And then also that integration question, which is that kind of the external piece, like how do you tactically get there from where I am? So I'll take those two with me. Stop doing. I'm going to stop doubting, doubting this situation, right? And just knowing that I have all the pieces. I just need to go ahead and take the step forward. So for sure, what we discussed today is my now menu of my next steps. So I'm excited about that.
Excellent. Thank you. That's inspiring. Stop procrastinating, stop doubting me. I love that. Mm-hmm. Carissa, our skillful coach.
Same question you want me to answer?
Yes. First, I'll thank you for giving us your time today and letting so many people learn. We have like 43 people on the call at this time. So I think this is really great. And we're very grateful to you and all you continue to do for the International Coaching Federation, even not in the coaching week, but all the time you always support. And so what stood out for you and what would you like people to leave here with in terms of their learning and development?
Yeah, what stood out to me? What stood out to me was really letting go and trusting the client. I mean, we think of the competency of trust and safety and often view that as, okay, is there trust and safety between the coach and client, that the client is at ease, but the trust is just as much for us as a coach. Do I fully trust this client to find what they need in the moment? And there were points in the conversation where my mind was, well, where should we go? Or I'm not quite sure where we are in this conversation. And that's okay for the conversation to feel messy or like, I have no idea where we are right now. What's important is that the client knows where they are, and then to just ask them the question of, where are you at in this, journey with stuckness? And they're able to identify it and find the path forward. So that really stood out to me as a coach. And my offering to you today in closing is just invite your clients to observe themselves. That's really a summary of what we do as coaches. Bottom line is we invite clients to observe so they can get the insight to move forward. And if you think more of those 10,000-foot questions of, being in the helicopter over their situation rather than the nitty-gritty, what are you going to put on your resume type of question, that really allows the client to get that awareness that then they see themselves clearly and they're able to go forward with that.
Thank you so very much for that insight and for such a lovely, skillful session. And we have time here. I can see Robin. I can see Monique. I saw her earlier on. Robin is the president of the ICF Houston chapter. And I saw Monique. I can't see her on my screen right now. I hope she's here somewhere. And I think that I would, at this point, want Robin to give us a few words of her own insights. But before doing that, I want us to try and give a round of applause to Carissa and Shara by unmuting and trying to clap. I know that's very difficult. It's going to sound a little staccato, but it is amazing that we are finishing this bit really on time. Thank you, guys. And over to you, Robin, Monique, and Dolan. Thank you for the opportunity to learn from this session. And I'm going to hand it over now.
Thank you. So great to see everyone today. Happy International Coaching Week. It's been a big, full week. So thank you all for participating and making this a really successful week. Hopefully you've all walked away with some insight, some new learning, a new friend, a new networking opportunity, or all of the above. I just wanted to mention a couple upcoming events for ICF Houston. We are super happy to have you here. We have our monthly coaching launchpad that continues the second Monday of every month. Elena leads that for us, so check that out. We also have an opportunity to continue our coach cafes. A couple of them did have to get canceled this morning because of the weather, but we're looking forward to continuing those going forward. We have a Southeast Regional event on our website ready to be for registration. It's in June. And then upcoming in September, we have our Toddy Bell and Jerry Fu are going to be kicking off a mastermind. So get ready for some information on that. And we do have an in-person ethics program coming up. More to come on that. A couple of things that are live in the system right now. There's some peer coaching out there. So if you are looking to get some peer coaching, go onto the website and go into the members only area and you'll see that information. We are also in the midst of adding information on mentor coaching. We will have mentor coaches available with a discounted rate for our ICF Houston members. And that will be ready here in the next week or two. So lots of exciting things happening at ICF Houston. And none of this would be possible without all of the volunteerism from not just the board, but we have a fantastic board, but also all of the committee members that help support our board. So thank you all, and I hope you have a wonderful rest of the day and great weekend. Dolan?
Thanks so much, everyone. And I want to give a shout out to Joe. Joe, thank you so much for your beautiful facilitation today and just to keep things going. As Robin mentioned, a lot of great events coming up in our chapter. The one to save the date about, just a little bit of detail that we have, and there's going to be more to come in our newsletter, everyone, is September 20th at 11:30 to 1:30. This is going to be in person. This is in reference to the workshop around Code of Ethics, the fascinating world of ICF Code of Ethics. And Cecilia will be actually facilitating that workshop. Many of you might know of her. She was past president, along with she's on our ICF Global Board of Ethics. So a lot of good expertise and thought leadership there. So hopefully we'll see all of you guys there on that one. And thank you again, Carissa and Shara. Best of luck. And thank you everyone today, just from all over the world, signing up and being part of our conversation. We're truly honored, and continued thanks to Robin for her leadership. Thank you everyone, and have a great rest of the day or night. Take care. Bye.